back home, my mom used to make ragi puttu or steamed cakes for breakfast that was made out of ragi flour, and that's one of my favorites, I guess, from ragi.
So in my culture, we have a lot of alcoholic beverages that are made with millets or ragi. So I think jar in general, which is an alcoholic beverage, would be my favorite.
My favorite ragi recipe is something that my mother recently started making. It is ragi dosha. So instead of using rice in dosa, ragi is used, and rest everything is same.
Okay, so my favorite ragi recipe is because as a child I was a very picky eater. My mom used to make this pudding out of ragi. It's made out of gelatin, ragi flour, and milk. And so this is something she used to feed me as a child. So that's my favorite.
I guess I've mainly come across baby food that consists of ragi.
So lately I've been exploring ragi products and I think I've come across ragi chips.
So recently I've come across ragi cereals made of ragi. Also biscuits are very popular now. So mostly that.
Okay, so I have come across ragi biscuits. I've also come across cereals made out of ragi and ready-to-make pancake mixes and upma mixes.
Since it's baby food that I've come across, I've not necessarily looked at the contents of the package.
No, not really, because I don't usually look at the content and nutritional value of products in general.
Not really. I like when you get a ragi product, I just assume that it is mainly made of ragi. I never realized that it could have lesser amount of ragi in it.
I do not have anything very specific to my culture that consists of ragi, but then one of our teammates do have this thing called Adi Kuru that they make during monsoon that is made of fermented ragi.
Yes, so I think in Nepali culture we have this thing called tero, which is usually made in the mountainous regions, and it's made by just pouring ragi into water.
So one of the recipes that I remember from my childhood is ragi kurkar, which my mother made a lot. It is made using ragi flour, milk, and little bit of salt and sugar.
I do think so, because considering ragi is now branded as a superfood, like a lot of other things like cereals or breakfast, ready-to-go breakfast meals do contain ragi as one of the ingredients that is like promoting the superfood notion. So I think there is a different outlook in the recent years, especially for ragi.
So since I've only been following ragi products recently, I'm not really sure about it.
Yes, definitely. When earlier years, I don't remember seeing so much hype over ragi, and especially there were products like ragi biscuits and ragi cereals available on the market. However, now that there is an understanding that ragi is a superfood, that has changed.
Okay, so I think the outlook of ragi has changed over the years because before the only way that I knew ragi was through baby food. It was a common practice. It's actually a very common practice in Kerala. So I only knew about ragi as a baby food, but over the years I can now see that people are incorporating ragi into a lot of other dishes as well. So it's not just a baby food anymore. It's more than that now.
Ragi or finger millet is likely to have travelled from East Africa to the Western Ghats region of India in the second millennium of the Neolithic period. The appearance of this millet coincided with the first fixed human settlements and the emergence of farming in South India. This era may be seen as establishing the basic South Indian repertoire of rain-fed millets and pulses sown in synchrony with the southwest monsoon. From the later Iron Age of differentiated wet and dry landscapes in southern India, as local chiefs built a series of tanks that enabled the cultivation of rice and variety of other irrigated crops and dairy products derived from cattle grazing. By the 14th century, rice had become the foundation of elite cuisines that transformed regional landscapes and sustained the growth of temples, towns, and cities. In contrast, cultivated on dry lands, millets and legumes defined the foodways of the poor majority, sustaining the vast world of peasant labor. Ragi crop was by far the most important of any raised on dry field and supplies all the lower ranks of society with their common food and was perceived as the most wholesome and invigorating food for laboring people. Therefore, there arose a differentiation through the consumption of rice and ragi class wise.